professional wrestler Sam Houston. You know, I know true champions in the political professional wrestling ring. The American Adversaries on AM 660. The answer. These guys power drive liberal baloney.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, the following fatal four-way match is scheduled for 3 falls. In the right corner, we have Christopher, the excellence of elocution, Hart, Crusher Carl Jackson, Johnny Dangerously Gunn, and the Honorable Ben Paris. Ian!
Thanks. That'd be Lucas Paris.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that.
And he's got the Periscope up and running tonight through YouTube.
Johnny Camp
is the location. American Adversaries TV is the channel. All right, 407-774-8255 is the number. By the way, you've heard us give away a couple of bottles if you've been listening to the whole show of Roxy Pacifics tonight. This stuff is great stuff for bug bites, burns, sunburns, or grill burns, or any kind of burn. But this stuff is what you need to put on it. It's all natural. It's kelp-based, and it's got vitamins in it. It's an antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. They get testimonials just about every day. You can even use this stuff as a deodorant, antiperspirant. They got a testimonial from a lady a week or so ago where she was in a hurry to go to a meeting and she ran out of the house, and we realized halfway to the meeting that she had forgot to put on her deodorant. So sure enough, she had a little bottle. She squirted a little under each arm, let it dry, squirted a little bit more under there. Because it's an antibacterial, she was good for the whole day.
Wow. Maybe someone should send that to the actress Gwyneth Paltrow. I hear she has.
Well, is she growing hair under her arms? Did you see that's the in thing now? Can you believe that?
But I hear she likes to go natural, and I've heard other stars comment on, she smells natural sometimes.
I got the pheromones working. All right, well, we had 2 big Supreme Court decisions this week, but no, we had 3 big Supreme Court decisions this week. Carl's going to update us on the one that didn't get much attention.
All right, sorry, I went away from that for a sec, but it's called Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, ETAL, I don't know what that stands for, versus the Inclusive Communities Project. And basically what it says is, well, or what the Supreme Court did was they upheld a Federal Fair Housing Act interpretation that imposes liability on a state housing decision that disparately impacts certain minorities, despite the absence of evidence of any discriminatory intent. Just a review, under the theory of disparate impact is what they call it, a defendant can be held liable for discrimination for a race-neutral policy that statistically disadvantages a specific minority group, even if that negative impact was neither foreseen nor intended. In such cases, defendants can be forced to pay for harm caused not by their own actions, but by economic and statistical realities, even if beyond their control.
So what they said in essence was you can be held liable for the effect of your policy no matter what the intent of your policy was. Your intent could have been to be the fairest person in the world, but if it can be statistically shown that your policy was in any way discriminatory, you are still culpable. You are still liable. This kind of gets back to the practice of what they call redlining in real estate, where real estate people would basically draw a red line on a map and they would say, you know, anything inside this red line we don't sell there because, you know, the chances of them defaulting on the loan is extremely high, or we don't like their race or whatever. That practice was done away with a long time ago. An end to that practice. And then the Clinton administration started the practice of forcing banks and lending institutions to lend to people who at one time perhaps would have been in that red line area, and regardless of their credit worthiness. And, of course, a lot of those loans went belly up and contributed to the housing crisis, which contributed to the economic crisis. In other words, when you lend money to people who can't pay it back, you should not expect them to pay it back. So this is sort of reminiscent of those days, okay, where you could have a realtor who would come along and say, no, I sell to everybody, but at the end of the day, he didn't. This, however, goes further than that. this says that you can do everything that you can to be a lawful person, but if somebody can come along and statistically show that the effect isn't what they want it to be, you can be held liable. So this is very troubling. You know,
the left is going to have a field day with this.
Oh, you better believe it.
And civil asset forfeiture, if you're not familiar with that, you're going to hear a lot more of it.
And that's where they come and take your property, and then you have the burden of proof to get it back. So this is another, I believe, very bad decision. Did it say what the vote was? Was it a 5-4 again?
It doesn't say what the vote was.
Well, we sure got borked on that one again.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because what this means is that you can be a lawful person and still be breaking the law in the eyes of the court. Let me say that again. You can be a law-abiding person, and in the eyes of the court, if statistics can be shown, and we all know what you can do with statistics, you can make them show just about anything you want, that you could be unlawful in the eyes of the court. So it's, you know, on the one hand, you know, they giveth and they taketh away. They're saying gays weren't afforded due process, and in this, they're basically taking away due process.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this kind of attached to Title VII and disparate treatment? It's more of an HR issue that's now becoming a Supreme Court issue.
I'm not.
Well, what it means is that neighborhoods are going to be subject to be, shall we say, desegregated. In other words, neighborhoods are going to be, well, if it's statistically shown that only a certain group of people can live in this neighborhood, well, we're going to have to change that. We're going to have to do something about it.
Yeah, it's called something.
I think they call it utopia housing. I know Mike McBath's been chomping at the bit to talk about this for over a week now. Utopia housing is when they come into a neighborhood, let's say they go into Heathrow up there, and they say, you know, we need some diversity in the housing up here. So what we're going to do is right here on the edge of Heathrow, we're going to build some public housing. And we're going to put people in there who can't afford to buy houses. And you folks at Heathrow are just going to have to like it. And, of course, the people in Heathrow are going to be going, I just plopped down $1.5 million for this $1.5 million for this house, and now you're going to drive down the value of my property by putting utopia housing next to it? Well, yes, that's what we're going to do. You see? Because we need diversity in your neighborhood. And if you don't like that, we might just put them right there on the golf course. We don't see why you should have a golf course. We should have some diversity in your neighborhood. That's the road that this is going down. You see? We can't have these statistics showing that only rich people can live in this area.
Yeah.
We got to have some poor folk there, too. There's something wrong here.
And it totally changes the constituency in certain areas where liberals can win.
Yep.
Man, there were stories that I researched on this, and I forget the
Got borked again, didn't we? All right, don't go away. Johnny Guns is fixing to bork us with some WTF news on the other side of the break.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks.